Hello and welcome back to another video, and today, as you can see, we're finally back with MotoGP 21 career mode. It has been such a long time since the last episode. I think August time potentially was the last episode, so that gives you a rough idea how long it's been because we're now in January. But I am determined to get this Moto2 season done, and then we can head into MotoGP with the 2022 mod, so that is my plan. But of course, first of all, we've got to get this Moto2 season done, and since it's been such a long break, I think we should probably do a bit of a recap. Also, apologies for my voice. I have got a bit of a sore throat, so if I sound a little bit weird, that is why. So, the gap at the top of the championship, pretty close. Only 2 points in it between myself and Sam Lowes, with 5 races to go, so it's still anyone's game. Realistically, it's anyone in the top 4. Even Bezzecchi has still got an outside shot. I mean, mathematically, it goes further than that. But I think realistically, no one outside this top 4 is going to win the championship. Potentially Vietti, but I really doubt it. I can't really see him making much of a difference. So my target really is just to beat Sam Lowes and not lose too many points to Gardner and Bezzecchi, because it's going to still take a hell of a lot for them to win. But it's definitely still on the cards, so you can't rule them out completely, but the title really is between myself and Sam. We've just got to focus on each other. I think we've come to blows a couple of times this season as well, so it is pretty tense. But if we look at the Teams Championship then, there's no worries there at all. You can see 120 points. Obviously, we've got the advantage of having 3 riders. Yes, they only take the points from the first 2, but our 3 riders are generally all at the front, so if someone has a bit of an off weekend, there's still 2 riders picking up full points, whereas Mark VDS, if Lowes or Fernandez has an off weekend there, they're pretty much done for. So, yeah, we've got a pretty big lead there. It's actually interesting, the battle for second place between Skyvio 46 and Mark VDS. So we'll have to keep his eye on that. But I think that's probably enough for recapping then. We'll quickly have a look at this notification on technical staff. A new telemetrist applying. He loses a lot of points on frame. He gives us a lot of points on engine, admittedly. But in Moto2, the engine's not so important because we can't really mess with them. So that's not really worth it. We'll keep him around because I'm going to be obviously looking at hiring better staff when we go to MotoGP. But obviously for now it doesn't really matter. So we'll advance forward then to the next race, which is the Japanese Grand Prix. So that's what I'm kind of looking forward to, because generally the player tends to go pretty well there compared to the AI. So I'll head into free practice now, and I'll see you at the end of the session. So then, at the end of the free practice session, I ended up 2nd place, so close to being the top time. I probably could have gone and improved it if I'd gone onto a fresh set of tyres and a bit of power mode 3 or whatever, but it was good enough. I only needed to get inside the top 10, so perfectly fine start to the weekend. So then, without any further ado, let's head into qualifying. Let's see if we can get pole position, because we need to beat Sam Lowes, and you can see he's 3rd place here, so he's not messing around. He's going to be right at the front. So we're here in Q2 then, and you can see coming through from Q1 are Xavi Vierge, Jorge Navarro, Joe Roberts, and Cameron Bobier. So yeah, same old people. From what I remember, that's the same people that used to come through fairly often. So qualifying's not too unpredictable in this game. But here we are then. I'm definitely going to want to change the tyres. You can see there I've got 2 absolutely shredded set of mediums, which I did the entire FP3 on. I didn't do FP1 and 2, by the way. It's because FP1 was wet track, so I thought I won't bother doing FP2 either. May as well just do FP3 and then hop straight into qualifying after that. So yeah, we'll head out onto the track now, and let's see if we can try and set pole position. It's going to be tough though, because I'm still making a fair amount of mistakes with different things. I'm still going in hot into a lot of corners, especially in the first sector. I mean, that's really the nature of Motegi for you, isn't it? It's so easy to get sucked in, go too quick into the corners, but the bike feels a lot different with fresher tyres, that's for sure, because I've been running on warm tyres for obviously most of the session. So we are then up towards the line. Raul Fernandez has the benchmark 52.9. Well, that's going to get absolutely obliterated, because Bezzecchi was fastest in FP3 with a 51.9, so that's a whole second off. Bit hot into turn 1, almost a high side out of turn 1 as well. So not the ideal start to the lap, that's for sure. So we're underneath the time in the first sector, but again, that's not really a surprise considering it's a bit off the pace, although my lines and my bike has been a bit jerky so far. There's not been a great start to the lap. So we're a second underneath the time, which again, is about what I expected really. We need to probably find a bit more time than that though, because I know the AI are going to be quicker in this session. So up towards the line then, what is this time going to be? Try and see if we can get a bit of a slipstream off Di Antonio. Surely he's going to go top, not quite. 51.6 then, top of the timesheets. I've gone a bit hot into turn 1 looking at the time, but of course that's the fastest lap of the weekend so far. Not so sure whether that'll be enough for pole position, but for now I'm quite satisfied with that, so we can head back to the pits. If we need to come back out, we can, but Augusto Fernandez is on a red sector. You can see red sector 1. Although I don't know whether he started that before I'd crossed the line, so it might still be red from before. So, yeah, we'll head back to the pits then. And let's see if the AI improve. So at the end of the session then, no, they didn't improve. That's actually quite weird, to be honest. I'm a little bit confused by that, because they were doing 51. Well, Bezzecchi did a 51 in Free Practice 3, so I kind of thought that all the AI, all the top AI would be doing 51s. 51.6 I thought might be good enough to fight for pole. I thought they'd only find a couple of attempts, but it seems to be the old trick if they've gone a bit slower in qualifying. I thought, to be honest, they'd fixed that in an update quite a while ago, because I'd noted that they were always a lot quicker in qualifying than in Free Practice, but no, that lap was indeed good enough, even though it wasn't the best lap. If you ask me, I don't think it was that good, but yeah, apparently that was good enough for pole position, so I'll absolutely take it. And Sam Lowe's in third place, so good job we are on pole position. We've got 7 tenths over the whole field, so I think, to be honest, if I can get a good start, I could try and get away, and that's the kind of race I need, because when it's this close in the championship, I need to try and get, you know, I need to get some points over Sam, although there are some tracks coming up that he's going to be really good at, so I want more points than he's probably going to give away, but we'll have to see. Hopefully the likes of Bezzecchi can get involved and hold him up a little bit. Without any further ado now then, let's head into the race. I'll see you down on the grid. So we're down here on the grid then, looking at Sam Lowe's in third position. He really is our target, of course, like I said at the start of the episode and just before we came into this race. So my aim is just to beat Sam Lowe's, get as many points over him as I possibly can. And that's all I can do. Obviously, there's only 2 points in it in the championship, so if I keep battling him, keep trying to beat him, I should eventually come out on top. And obviously, the aim is to win this championship. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I have got to watch out for the likes of Bezzecchi and Gardner, like I said as well, but they're a little bit further down the grid today, so yeah, shouldn't have to worry about them too much. So without any further ado then, let's get this race started. I'm going to make sure I actually put the right tyres on though. I'm going to stick with mediums because the whole weekend's been cloudy. Mediums have lasted very well, I think, so that's what I'm going to go with. But obviously I don't want to use the one set from qualifying. But yeah, like I said, without any further ado then, let's get this race started and hopefully it'll be another win.
With the riders on the starting grid, the countdown begins until lights out. Just a few moments to go and the Japanese Grand Prix will begin.
So there we are then on pole. Digi second, Sam Lowe's in third. Got to say, I'm kind of remembering how weird some of the grids are in this game. But waiting for the lights to go out here then. Lights out and away we go. Off the line. Has it been a good start? Not really, because Di Giannantonio is going to get me on the run into the first corner. By the looks of it, sweeping around the outside. Bit of contact with Fabio Di Giannantonio. Got a little bit wide, but we have still got the lead. So even though there's a little bit of contact, we're still holding on to first position here. Can we try and make a bit of a break on this first lap? That is my target. Try and get away from the AI. Try not to get involved in anything, because that's usually when you don't finish so well. But I've had a fairly decent start, because I remember earlier on in the season we were losing so many places off the line. So that is a massive improvement, really. Got 3 tenths on Di Giannantonio then going down towards turn 3. Actually, I think this is turn 4, isn't it? Because the first corner is basically, well, it's counted as 2, when it's really just one long corner, isn't it? But now we're about half a second in front of him, so that was a pretty good first sector. I'm just going to try and get my head down. Oh, that was almost a crash at 130R, and again on the exit. Don't push too much, because I'll lose time. If I lose time from pushing, that's when they're going to keep up with me. But if I can just try and push a conservative amount, I should be able to pull away, because I had a good nearly a second over the whole field. So as long as I don't make too many mistakes, I should be absolutely golden. Down towards the 90-degree corner then. It's very, very tricky to get the braking right into here. I think I've done it on this lap a little bit wide. Not the end of the world. We've got a second to Di Giannantonio now, so we are checking out. I've used a fair amount of Power Mode 3 on this lap as well, just to try and guarantee that I pull away and they don't catch me up on the straights or anything. A little bit hot into victory corner. There's been a crash behind. I don't know who's down. Doesn't look like Digi's gone. Doesn't look like Sam's gone, so I don't know who it is. Someone a bit further back by the looks of it. But Digi did slice my lead away a little bit in that last sector, so it seems like they are a little bit better there. Another couple of little screen freezes there, so had a couple on the first lap. Hopefully that's not going to be a reoccurring problem, because that could mess me up. At the end of the second lap then, fast lap of the race does go to me, so we did pull away a little bit more from Di Giannantonio, but not a lot, to be honest. Schrotter actually has taken the fastest lap, so we're not the fastest rider on track currently, which is a little bit surprising, because I thought we'd have a bit more of an advantage over the AI, but they're staying with me. They're about 6 tenths behind, so I can't afford to make too many mistakes. I think that's what I was doing on both the first 2 laps. I think I'm just pushing a bit too hard. I need to probably, chill it down a little bit, turn it down a little bit, relax, try not to make too many mistakes, and the pace should be there, because we saw how much quicker I was than the AI. So if I just knock that back by a couple of tenths, that should still be more than I was pulling away by over pushing. So coming towards the line on this lap, it has been a better lap. It was a very good lap until the last sector. Made a bit of a mistake, so 52.1. So that's quicker than what the AI did in qualifying. If you saw Schrotter's lap, that was actually pretty close to what they were doing in qualifying. So the AI are on their qualifying pace. I'm actually slower than mine, which is a bit unusual. Usually I'm quicker in the races than in qualifying. But we're on lap 4 now, so not too many laps to go. Half the race is complete. So if I can just try and stay out of trouble, I should be alright. Although I've just picked up a track limits warning, so yeah, it's not the best way to start keeping out of trouble. So starting the penultimate lap off the race now, and the AI is still within a second of me. It's a little bit nerve-wracking now, not going to lie, but not too much further to go. If I could just try and get over a second, I can have a little bit of breathing room in case I do make a mistake, but because it has just gone over a second there, but it's been doing that. It's been yo-yoing really between 8 tenths and about 1.2, 1.3. So starting the final lap of the race now, and it has been a much better lap. You can see, I think it's going to be the 51, so this lap, yeah, 51.9, so the fastest lap any of the AI have done all weekend, just matched by me there. So I think I should be okay. 1.5 seconds starting the final lap of the race. That should be good. We've just got to bring it on home now, and it's going to be a win. And 9 points over Sam Lowe's, because Digi Antonio has managed to hang on to that second place, which is super, super important. So here we are then, coming through the final chicane. It's been a crash behind, it's Motegi. I thought it was Lowe's for a second then, but Motegi seems to have crashed behind. But towards the line, we've won the Japanese Grand Prix, gained 9 points on our championship rival. What a way to come back to career mode. So I was a little bit surprised by that race. I really, really was. The AI challenged me a lot closer than I expected them to. Only won by 1.4 seconds in the end. So Digi Antonio and Sam Lowe's kept up with me. Everybody else, you can see, seemed to drop back. But those two, they definitely went with me. Motegi was not too far behind them as well. But obviously he fell off on the final lap. So who actually retired from the race? Canet. Motegi got back on in 25th. So I'm assuming Canet crashed on the first lap. And then I think Motegi must have crashed the same way he did on the final lap. So yeah, pretty uneventful race, to be honest, but it was a bit nerve-wracking for me on the final lap because I think my controller's about to die because the vibration was sort of gone from the triggers, so I couldn't really feel the front of the bike and the rear of the bike really very well. So good job that the controller made it to the end though, because if it had run out of charge, that definitely would have been more of the problem than not having a bit of feel through the controller. So but yeah, managed to hang on in the end, so a pretty good way to return, not gonna lie. I'm pretty happy with that. So in the championship then, we take the lead from Sam Lowe's. I don't think this is the first time in the season we've led it, but I think it's the first time for a few races that we have led the championship. So it is nice to be back on top. We now got 52 points ahead of Remy Gardner in third place, 73 ahead of Motegi in fourth. I think they are really falling out of contention now. With 4 races to go, it's going to take a hell of a change for Motegi to be able to fight for the championship. Same with Gardner, really. Gardner still has got a chance because it's more likely that we'll crash twice, but really, they are starting to fall out of contention massively now. I mean, technically, mathematically, of course, everybody down to 9th place is still in the championship. 100 points still up for grabs. But yeah, I don't think anyone is really in this running except me and Sam and potentially Remy. But even Remy at this point, I think, is too far gone. And in the teams championship, there's no change at all there. We're now 136 points ahead of Elfmark VDS Racing in second position. Skyvale 46 now 200 points behind us, obviously after the crash for Motegi. It cost them quite a few points. But yeah, the Teams Championship, that's pretty much wrapped up. I think we're going to be absolutely fine with that. It is the Riders' Championship that is my main focus, and that was a good way to return to career mode, taking the lead of the championship. So let's quickly go have a look at those crashes, see what happened. I think they probably just lost the front on the curb at victory, I think, to be honest. But yeah, we'll have a look, see why the AI crashed. Well, I can't actually look at Canet because, of course, that was the first lap and it's cut to the start of the second lap. Although I think Ramirez must have fell off with him then, judging by the fact he's miles off the pack on his own. So here we are then, looking at Motegi, and yeah, you actually do clip a curb. That's actually the curb I meant. I said victory, but I meant the one before it. And that the AI, they've been clarting that curb for years. I mean, the players have been clarting that curb for years as well, but the AI are really bad for it. If we have a look, slow it down. He turns in. He's very, very early. Bit unlucky though. The rear just loses grip, and that's it. The front's now gone as well. He stayed on a bit longer than you'd expect, but there we go. The bike spins out from underneath him, and that's why he managed to remount, because of course there's not too much damage from it just sliding across the road like that. But yeah, a lot of time lost. So a bit unfortunate there for Motegi. That really put any championship hopes he still had. That's completely destroyed them. Although he was out of the championship anyway, realistically, but he definitely is now after losing another 25 points to the leader. So then, with that crash looked at, let's head back to the career hub now and then get ready to head into the next race, which I think is Chang. So that could be interesting. I'm not sure how good the AI are there, to be honest, because I don't play the track very often. I'm not a fan. I think it's fairly close. It is another start-stop though, so it should probably favour me in that way. But yeah, I guess we'll have to find out. So, just taking a screenshot for the thumbnail, and this bug has happened, unfortunately. I'm going to try and maybe slow the footage down so it's not so it doesn't induce any kind of epilepsy or anything like that, because there's a lot of flashing images here. But yeah, it's just cycling through every rider and just fast forwarding and changing all the cameras like constantly. So yeah, this is a bug I've seen before, and I don't think there's any way to get around it. So I think the race may not save, which is pretty frustrating, to be honest, because it means I'll have to do it again. And the result might not be the same, so there might be a bit of change here. I'm going to see if I can try and fix it, because I still have some control, but yeah, you can hear me pressing buttons, it doesn't do anything. So yeah, I think I may be in a bit of a mess here, unfortunately. So then, I just redid the race. The result was virtually the same. Still myself first place, Fabio Di Gianantonio second, Sam Lowe's in third. Bezzecchi did stay on this time and finished fourth, so that's probably the most notable change, to be honest. But I think other than that, the order was basically the same. Anyone that matters, anyway. The top three were all the same. So the standings might be a little bit different than what was shown before. But apologies about that. Not a lot I can do when the game decides to bug out on me. But from this weekend, then we gained 26,300 reputation points, which takes up to 338,000. And on the credits front, not gaining a massive amount, but getting 13,737, which takes me up to 210,252. As for the research data, it doesn't really matter. As you can see, we've got a lot of research data on every single area. But we did manage to pass the time attack because of the FP3 time, so we did get some there. Although speaking of R&D, there is now an upgrade complete, so I didn't even realise there was one completing here. It was on the engine front, so yeah, I guess we can put another one on now, because we have a lot of engine research data, to say the least. We've got nearly 13,000 of it, and we only need about 4,000, so yeah, I guess which one's going to be done quicker. So this upgrade will take about 5 weeks, this one. So I'll just add on all the stuff here. You can see 5 weeks. So I'll do that and develop that node. So we should get that engine just before the end of the season. Really, it's not going to make much of a difference. Improved fuel consumption, so that's why I've left them then. So we get a bit better fuel consumption. Not that I've been struggling with fuel anyway, so I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. And there's actually 2 more upgrades coming in 3 weeks. So we actually are going to get a few upgrades, it seems, before the end of the season, but not really going to get much chance to use them. But that's everything done between these 2 races then. So let's head into Thailand now. I'll see you at the end of free practice. Hopefully we have no issues with the game glitching out or anything like that in this one, and it's just a nice clean weekend. So here we are at the end of practice, and once again it's Marco Bezzecchi actually on top of the timesheets by such a small margin ahead of myself in second, and then a few tenths back to Di Gianantonio in third place. Sam Lowe's down in 6th in this session. He was having a lot of difficulties, I saw on track. A lot of the AI, in fact, were actually having difficulties into the, I think it's turn 4. They're clipping the inside curb and just crashing. So that's definitely something to watch out for in qualifying and the race, that the AI may be doing that. So try and avoid them. Don't go around the outside there, definitely, that's for sure. And we might get some free positions in the race through that, depending on our pace. But it looks like the pace is pretty good. That was a bit more of a one-off lap, because I got a bit of a toe off Sam Lowe's, because, well, he'd actually rammed me out the way on the previous lap, so I wanted to do a better lap on the next one to try and show him. So yeah, it was a pretty decent lap, but still not quite as good as Bezzecchi. So Bezzecchi has had some phenomenal practice pace the last couple of races. But we'll head into qualifying now. Hopefully we can take this momentum through and try and get a good position on the grid. Hopefully pole position, but probably not. So here we are in qualifying 2 then, and actually in the combined times I'm in 3rd place behind Sam Lowe's. He did a better time in one of the previous practice sessions, so yeah, it's looking pretty close at the front. But coming through Q2 then, or coming through to Q2 from Q1 are Stefano Manzi, Jake Dixon, Marcos Ramirez and Jorge Navarro. So actually a different group of people from the last race. But you can see the tyres are absolutely done, so once again I'll be stopping on a fresh set of tyres, and it will definitely feel a little bit different, that's for sure. So let's head straight onto the track and see what we can do. So I got one of the development boosts, you can see there. I got the top speed one, because of course really it's just trying to get through into, trying to practice the track, and then also just get through into qualifying 2. It's what all my objective really is from the free practice sessions. So there's a tricky turn 1 there. It's really difficult to actually carry the right amount of speed through, because I always end up too fast or too slow on the apex and either run wide or just lose momentum through the corner. It's probably one of the hardest corners on this track, but so far we're doing pretty well, because we've done a red sector, although I've gone a bit wide. Haven't lost my lap, fortunately, so I can keep going, but it'll cost me a bit of time. This corner up here is where they're crashing. It is a tricky corner. It's really hard to actually get the turning right, because it's just a completely blind entry. And there you go, that is what they've been doing, clipping that inside curb and going down. And you can see there's Manzi getting back on the bike, so he's just done it as well. Arbolino's done it as well. Like, it really is a common occurrence. Like, most of the time through there, they seem to crash. So I think it might be a little bit like one of those Moto3 races from last season where they literally all would crash out of a race. I think that potentially could be what we see here, unfortunately. I thought they'd actually fixed all those issues, but sadly, seems like at Chang there definitely still is one. Well, whilst I'm talking away, I've just lost a load of time. They're really good through Sector 3 for some reason. I'm not sure what it is, but compared to me in Sector 3, and to be fair, 4 as well to a certain extent, they gain so much time. And to be honest, I'm not really sure I'm going wrong with the sectors. I didn't actually follow anybody through there because I was so much quicker in Sector 1 and 2 than Sam. I got in front of him and then he crashed at Turn 4, so yeah, I couldn't really follow him. But there we go then, 3rd place for now. But yeah, that's not going to be good enough. We'll have to keep going with that, I think. So out of the last corner then, up towards the line, so that's been a much better lap. Not quite good enough for pole position, in fact, pretty damn far off pole position, 6/10 away from Remy Gardner. Although that is still 2nd place, so I'm not sure what's going on here. I think the AI are just struggling to get laps in. I think my best strategy really is to try and stay on track, because they can't really do good times whilst I'm on track, because they just keep crashing. Oh, Lewis has just gone pole with a 35.4, so I definitely need to try and respond now. I'm out on a... Oh, I'm not even on a fresh set of tyres. I meant to change tyres, but I'm out with the new tank of fuel. Yeah, I forgot to change the tyres. I think it might be a bit late to do that now, so I'll have to see what I can do on these tyres. But yeah, there's a bit of time to find them. 7/10 of a second. Arbolino's now jumped ahead, so it seems like AI are starting to find their form a little bit now. So yeah, I need to try and find a little bit more time if I can. So I'm actually down to 6th place now, so really do need to find a bit of improvement. But I found 2 attempts in the 1st sector so far, so hopefully I can carry that through. So I still can't find any more time. I'm improving in the 1st sectors, I just can't... It's all the last sector I'm losing it in. I can be like about a 10th off in Sector 3, and it's Sector 4. I lose all the time to them. It makes me wonder whether maybe they've glitched Sector 4 or something. I'm not 100% sure, but it does seem very, very odd that they can find so much time in that sector. At the last corner coming up towards the line. Oh, I thought we were going to just improve there, get a few hundredths of a second, but not quite. So, unfortunately, we're pretty far down the order, which, yeah, isn't too good. Down in 8th place, that's not exactly where I wanted to start, but fair enough. That's where I've ended up after qualifying. We're not too far off the pace. We're not miles behind. 8th is still relatively decent. I think if I had a fresh set of tyres on, if I'd actually put tyres on when I pitted, it probably would have helped. But yeah, in the end, it just wasn't to be. So 8th place then on the grid. Sam Lowe's being on pole is my biggest issue, though, because I can't really be affording to lose points to him, especially at this point in the season. So I need to try and get a good start, try and carve up my way up the order a little bit, and maybe hope for a couple of crashes ahead as well. I mean, it's pretty likely based on what I've seen. So yeah, we'll have to see. But let's get this race started then. I'll see you down on the grid. Hopefully it's a good one. So we're down here on the grid then, and Sam Lowe's, of course, on pole position. Marco Bezzecchi, 2nd place. He's had some fantastic pace this episode, obviously, topping both the 3 practice sessions we did. Not too bad pace, really, in Motegi in the race as well. Obviously, he actually ended up finishing 4th on the rerun of the race, but initially he was running 4th and crashed. So Bezzecchi, not been too bad. Gardner's kind of been nowhere, but he qualified pretty well, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Obviously, we've got Gardner and Fernandez at the front of the grid, so hopefully they'll actually help us out, because I think they're in about 4th or 5th, so maybe those two can try and attack Sam Lowe's and stop him pulling away, but we'll have to see. But let's get this race started then, and I've just got to try and do everything I can to get up that order.
Warm-up lap completes, and the riders have taken their places on the starting grid. The Thai Grand Prix is about to get underway.
Now, so they're actually in 3rd and 4th place. We've got Sam Lowe's on pole then, Bezzecchi 2nd, Remy Gardner in 3rd place, waiting for the lights to go here then at Chang. Lights on, away we go. That was a long hold on the lights. It's not been the best start from myself. I think I'm going to go a bit backwards. We've been passed by a couple of riders on the run down towards the 1st corner. Going to try and hang it around the outside a little bit. I think Sam Lowe's is leading currently though ahead of Bezzecchi. We had even Xavi Vieje coming at the inside there. We're down to 11th place using a bit of Power Mode 3. Can we get past some of these riders? Down towards turn 2, or turn 3, sorry, because turn 2 is that kink on the straight. Seems like we have. We're going around the outside. We're barreling absolutely around the outside of Arbolino. Moving to 4th place all of a sudden. What a start it's been overall. Look at this out of here. Round the outside between Gardner and Arbolino. And we've got a slipstream now here on Marco Bezzecchi. We've used so much power mode 3 though off the line. That's the problem. Here we go. We're going to go on the inside. Oh, it's going to be close. Oh, and Sam's hit the curb and Sam's down. Sam is down. That was nothing to do with my attempt at an overtake there. Sam Lowe's just crashed on the curb on his own. I got track limits 1 and we're now dropped in by Marco Bezzecchi. That's massive for the championship. Sam Lowe's, he probably won't score points now. Of course, plenty of riders could still do that, but he's the only one that I think has done it on this first lap. And that could be a straight up retirement. If that was a retirement, which I think it might have been looking at the mini-map, we could take a big step towards this World Championship here, but I don't want to get too carried away. Marco Bezzecchi is gapping me already. I think I'm going to probably struggle in this race, go a bit further back, but it doesn't matter. I just need to pick up some sort of decent points. I don't have to win the race anymore. That was kind of the objective before, because of course Sam was going to always be up there. I needed to win to gain as many points, but now that's not necessarily the objective. It's just score as highly as possible. And look at Bezzecchi, he's already got a second over us. But that start, the initial launch was so bad, but using that power mode 3 down the straight was a stroke of genius. And then slotting between Arbolino and Gardner coming out of turn 3. That was super, super close. We just got away with it. And then I went for the move. I was looking at a move for the lead, but I just wasn't quite close enough to stick at the inside of Sam Lowe's. And obviously then he hit the curb and ended up crashing. But I've gone in massively wide to turn 3. I've almost crashed myself there. So that's a big, big mistake to make. Although I've only dropped down a couple of positions. Is that Bo Benschneider? Bo Benschneider back at the front. We've not seen him at the front since, well, very early on in the European season. But here we go. Once again, a good slipstream here on Tony Arbolino. We're back up into 2nd position. Otherwise, up the inside, somebody else has gone down. It's Bezzecchi. Bezzecchi's gone down. So that puts Arbolino up into the lead. And it's now Arbolino from Benschneider from myself. So we're back up onto the podium. We dropped off it very, very briefly there, but we're back up onto it. Imagine if I hadn't ran wide now through turn 2. We'd probably be sitting in the lead of the race, which is a bit frustrating. So I need to just bear that in mind, just try and keep it steady. It seems like the leaders are dropping like flies. This reminds me of very much of a race back on MotoGP 20 career mode. I think it was in the actually in the Moto3 junior team. All the leaders just get crashing off, including one of my riders, sadly. But yeah, they keep getting up into the lead and then immediately crashing. But Bo Benschneider taking a good long look over his shoulder. He sees this Aya bike right behind him, waiting to try and pounce and take that 2nd position back because, I mean, I know I said I don't have to win, but I mean, if I do, that's fantastic. And Gardner's lost the front. Gardner's lost the front now as well. So Remy Gardner has just crashed out of this Thai GP. Yeah, all the shouting in this race so far, it's triggered my throat. I had a massive coughing fit just there. Apologies, but it looks like Benschneider is going for the lead here on Arbolino. Can he pull it off? Not quite. I think I might be a bit hot into turn 3 again. A little, but not too bad this time. So we've not lost a position. We'll see what happens here, because obviously the first 2 laps so far, the guy in 1st place has crashed here at turn 4. So we'll have to see what happens. See if either of these 2 in front crash. We tip it in here. Arbolino's gone down. So yeah, seems like the leader. Every lap's crashed. Ralph Fernandez has gone down as well. So both of my teammates have crashed. All my support is gone, really. And we've actually got Augusto Fernandez behind us now. Sam Lowe's teammates. So we've got to watch out for that. But at the minute, I'm more than happy to sit in here behind Bo Benschneider because, well, Bo can take the win for all I care. I mean, I'd like the win. I'd like 25 points over Sam Lowe's, but I'm happy to sit here, although I am gaining on him quite a bit. So I'm not going to just sit here, but if it was going to be too difficult to make a pass, I definitely would, although I just made a big mistake there. But I was gaining on him a lot there through Sector 3, which is interesting, because that was a sector where I thought I was struggling, but I think it might have been down to the tyres. I think we actually probably could have qualified quite well if it wasn't for the tyres, but I don't think qualifying particularly matters now, because we obviously were leading this race at one point. The reason I'm not winning now is my own mistake in this race. So Benschneider 36.2, fastest lap of the race. I did a 36.3. A little bit hot into turn 1 though for me. That might allow Benschneider to pull away a little bit. But here we go. We've got a really good run out of 3 actually. I mean, half a mind to have a look, see if we can go for a move, but I almost just don't think it's worth it. If it's quite likely that he'll crash, I may as well just wait for him to do it. So here we go then, into turn 4. He clipped the curb there, but he stayed on. So for the first time in this race, a leader has gone through turn 4 and not crashed. And it's Bo Benschneider that has managed to do that. We'll have to see if we gain on him again through this sector. Potentially, we could be looking at a victory, which over Sam Lowe's 25 points, that could effectively almost seal it for me, because we're already leading the championship. So there'd be 3 rounds to go after this race. A 27-point lead that would be if I won this race. That would be pretty hard for Sam to claw back, I think, especially since one of the tracks is a very good track for me. But we'll have to see. We've not won this race yet. We might not win it yet. I've still got to get past Bo Ben Schneider. I can't just wait for him and assume he's going to crash, because he could well not do. And also, I want to try and win it on track. I don't want to wait for everybody in front to crash. But we're pulling away a little bit here from Augusto behind. We've just done the fastest lap of the race, so yeah, I think there might have been some sort of glitch in qualifying while they were so fast in Sector 4. I'm not really sure, because they don't seem to be that much quicker than me in the race. So here we are then, once again, pretty close to the back of Bo Ben Schneider, using a bit of power mode 3, see if we get a bit closer. I'm watching the fuel, 0.7 laps left after the race, so we've got to make sure we don't run out. Into turn 4 then. Has Bo managed to get away with it? He has once again. So Bo Ben Schneider, 2 laps in a row, and behind Joe Roberts has fallen off now. So another victim of turn 4. Well, he's got back on, I was about to say he got back on in 7th place, but yeah, the graphics aren't updated. I was going to say, that's how many have dropped off. It'd be interesting to see, but I'm kind of scared to look at the replay after what happened in the last race, because this has been crazy. You're not going to get this happen twice. Oh, it's not been a great exit for me there. I made a bit of a mistake through the final corner, and that's given Ben Schneider a fair amount of breathing room starting this final lap of the race. Bo Ben Schneider could win this Thai GP ahead of myself here. It wouldn't be the first time we've had a last lap battle with Bo Ben Schneider, and it wouldn't be the first time I've lost either. So yeah, I want to try and get as close as I can to him, and maybe try and pass him on the run into turn 4, because I just don't think he's going to crash. I think he's got a better line than some of the other AI through there, it seems. We're right on the back of him through turn 3, trying to get on the power as early as possible, using a bit of power mode 3 again, just keeping my eye on the fuel, because I would look very foolish if I ran out of fuel and threw away 20 points just for trying to get another 5. Here we go, we're actually not going to be close enough, so I'm not able to pull a pass here into turn 4. The rear steps out, Bo Ben Schneider clips the curb, but he's down! Ben Schneider crashes, Augusto Fernandez crashes, Lorenzo Baldassarri crashes, and that puts Jake Dixon up into 2nd position. Oh, almost high-sided myself there. We've just got to bring it on home now. We've just got to bring it on home. Wasn't expecting that at all. I thought Ben Schneider had kind of got it figured out, but he obviously hadn't. So here we go then. Down towards the final corner. It's going to be a win here in Thailand from 8th on the grid. An absolutely chaotic race. People throwing it up the road all over the place, which we did predict. But on towards the line then, it's going to be a win here, and it's going to be massive for the championship, gaining 25 points on Sam Lowe's. Interestingly enough, I actually got an achievement for winning this race, because obviously it was one of the races I didn't win in the last season, which wasn't many of them, admittedly, but yeah, it was obviously one of the ones I didn't win at previously. But there we go then. We've won here at Chang, 1.3 seconds ahead of Jake Dixon in the end, with Fabio Di Gianantonio in 3rd position. If we have a look at actually who finished, it's a big gap here. Yeah, so Baldassarri, we saw he crashed, so everybody from basically everybody that didn't score points crashed. So Baldassarri, Canet, Augusto Fernandez, Bo Ben Schneider, Marcel Schrotter, Ralph Fernandez, Joe Roberts, Marcos Ramirez, Fermin Aldeguer, Somkiat Chantra, Tony Arbolino, Remy Gardner, Marco Bezzecchi, Xavi Vierge, Thomas Luthi, and of course Sam Lowe's. So Sam Lowe's crashing out of the Thai GP, massive, absolutely massive for this championship. And that really does change the face of this race. I actually must have got wrong how far I was in front, because I'm now 32 points in front of Sam Lowe's. Yes, so we're actually 32 points in front of Sam Lowe's. I was thinking that we only had 2 points ahead of him going into this race, but it was the previous race I was 2 points behind. That's what I was getting mixed up with. So, yeah, it's, well, this championship certainly has changed. With 3 rounds to go, it now mathematically is only between myself and Sam Lowe's. Remy Gardner in 3rd place, 78 points behind. Marco Bezzecchi, 85 behind. And Fabio Di Gianantonio, 95 behind. So, been some big changes there in the championship. You can see Vietti jumping up a couple of positions, but that was huge. That was an absolutely huge race for the championship. I don't want to speak too soon, but I think that really has kind of sealed it in my favour. I think Phillip Island is my worry. I could end up out the points at Phillip Island and the whole thing could be reversed, but we'd still have 7 points, so it would still be, you know, something important. But I've just got to finish relatively well at Phillip Island, try and win at Sepang, and then that should wrap up the championship, and we don't have to worry about Valencia. So yeah, that really has changed the championship unbelievably. So looking at the Teams Championship then, actually not a lot changed. 161 points in front, so obviously we gained a few more points on them. But of course, neither of my teammates scored, so it was only my points really that that's made the difference here, because obviously both Remy Gardner and Ralph Fernandez fell off in that race. Although I think both Augusto and Sam fell off, didn't they? So yeah, no points for their team, 25 for ours. So we gained a few more points on them in the team's championship, but that doesn't really matter too much. But that's it for the championship then. Let's head back to the career hub and end off the episode there. So then, we didn't get the qualifying objective because we didn't manage to get on the front row, but we did get 17,800 reputation points regardless, which takes us up to 355,800. And the credits, that's just all based on the race results. So we gained 13,737, which takes us up to 223,989. So then, there's no notifications on this screen, so that pretty much rounds out this episode then. What a good comeback to career mode. 2 victories in a row. I was expected to come back and really struggle, but 2 victories, a DNF for Sam Lowes and a 3rd place in the other one. That has really changed this championship. I was 2 points behind going in, 32 points in front coming out. So it's been a big change. Now it literally is only between myself and Sam Lowes for the championship. So he's the only rider I need to focus on for the rest of the season. Now hopefully my teammates will help me out with that, but yeah, we'll have to see. The next race, not a strong track for me, Phillip Island. I feel like the AI are quite good there on this game because of the corner speed. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens in the next episode. But I hope you guys did enjoy that video. Before I do go, once again, like I said in my previous video, if you haven't seen that, I have set up an Instagram page for the YouTube channel where basically I'll just be posting different clips from different videos. Just a little fun thing I like to do, try and grow the channel out a little bit. So if you do want to drop a follow there, it is Biker Gaming Official. I'll put it on the screen now. And if there's any clips you want to see on there, any specific clips, any of your favourite parts of any of my videos, do let me know over there or in the comments below here, and I'll get that uploaded on there. But yeah, hope you guys did enjoy that one. Hope you enjoyed the rest of your day. Hope you're all staying safe, and I shall see you in the next one.